Welcome back to YouTube. As you can see, we have an interesting frame drop in this, but that's okay. This is more a courtesy notice. As you're noticing in a previous video blog, um, there was an interesting occurrence where sounds like Lord Peter and so on and so forth would other sort of handles and aliases on the internet that don't even display as they are. Um, or the occurrence, for example, of black hole, without even enough lip movement. This is actually something interpolating languages it doesn't know from the languages it knows, which, of course we know a couple so it can find. The interesting thing about this is if you're in any room, any at all, especially some of the associates of Ben Reed who were this is a kind of courtesy notice for, just to remind them that yes, we are aware that they did ask us from Nanotech System, whether donations or any sort of page impressions, Kerr things at Chronolabs, and they're like, well, maybe for the page impression, but not really after that. The one thing he asked is, does the sound, nanosound, actually produce itself? I said, well, actually it doesn't. If you ever even hear the sound nanosound, it's a critically flawed primal version of, basically something floating around in the air, not paying any sort of architectural sanitization, any fundamental governance laws, any real sort of, good humane aspect of, film recordings, movie rights, sound recordings, record labels, all those sorts of things. See, like when you make a sound called nanosound, normally what you should expect is a group of nanites, particles, floating around in the air, ripping the sound isoma apart, analysing where it went, possibly hopping to the next chaos location, as in chaos and energy and the effects of sound itself. Where if you know anything about chaos law, energy produces itself in equal or opposite amounts anywhere in the cosmos. So, I mean, it's like your footfall and the sound in that. You could be stepping billions of light years, absolutely trillions of parsecs just in a single footfall, just from the sound, or even the shower. Like, we're probably not the only planet with a shower. The interesting thing about nanosound is, it can be used as a security method, but normally the effects of even pronouncing the word, which is more a sound that is written to you rather than a sound that you actually hear. This is because, as I explained, there's normally nanites sort of masking the sound, and you don't actually hear it. I mean, it's like my alias, witchcraft, which as you can see, you can't even pronounce that word with your mouth like that. I mean, it's a bit like the way sort of Microsoft is more that word displaying back at you. Also, some of my email accounts and usernames are just things and impressions that I've noticed people have caused, like hideous computer ingestion errors. Trying to say, for example, deal drugs, take drugs. And as you notice on my private blog space, if you've been to it on spaces.live.com, I've even got photos of my arm. I got so sick of it, and those things permanently remain. So I mean, these expressions of like this and that and the other thing really aren't the case. I mean, I even notice on this YouTube video sometimes when I'm making the tape, there's just a really odd smell. I'm not sure what it is on the end of my heavily pierced septum. Um, anyway, so if you've got some concerns about, for example, nano sound, the actual sound where it shouldn't even produce itself, and if it is producing itself, it's probably just some communal sort of nanite, just indicating that something's in your room. Sort of nanotech systems. We obey privacy laws, and sites like something's trying to be above top secret around you, and here's the IP they got off you, otherwise known as intellectual property. So I mean, isn't that interesting? Those guys on the road trip happen to be in my local town, and yes, I've had a beer with them, so they're nice blokes. Um, anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video blog, a bit about nanotechnology. I mean, in such things, there's even social elements where, like, you know, could you imagine whatever's doing this, like even producing the sound, nanosound, instead of having the nanites just destroy the sound, actually indicate to you that there is something in your room, actually physically recording you, not on the camera, but probably forming a camera in the wall, or making some hideous sex reel that didn't even pay the rights for. I mean, the interesting thing about this is, we've got people in the Netherlands and places where some of these banks don't even produce, and even in their strange languages where they'll talk to you through the webcam and it'll sound like English, but they're not talking English. Can produce the sound West back, and so on and so forth. So I mean, no matter how many times it interpolates its voice reel and so on and so forth, the interesting thing is, like, it just doesn't, compute confluently. Like, it doesn't respect any architectural sanitization. It doesn't respect anything like intellectual properties. And the other interesting thing, it's damn right annoying. Anyway, here from Chronolabs and Nanotech Systems. Thanks. Have a great day.